I am going to explain very important part of the atomic structure, that is the atomic models. Atomic models are basically some concepts given by some scientists to explain the internal structure of matter. What again repeating, atomic models are some proposed theories which explains the internal structure of atoms. All the forms of matter, they are made up of atoms. Atoms are the smallest particles of any matter which has capacity to remain independent. Now, there are different theories to explain the atomic models, and the first theory is Thomson's atomic model. Thomson's atomic model, and this model is called a Plum pudding model. This model is called as Plum pudding model. Plum is a fruit, just bigger than cherry. So Plum pudding model proposed by J.J. Thomson. J.J. Thomson was the scientist. Now, according to him, atom is a positively charged ball. According to Thomson's model, atom is a positively charged ball, and at different places negatively charged particles are scattered. Once again I am repeating, according to Thomson's model, atom is just like a positively charged ball or a positively charged sphere, like this. This is positively charged. This is positively charged ball, and at certain places negatively charged particles are scattered. Negatively charged particles are scattered. So this theory, it is very close to watermelon. When we cut watermelon, what we see? The seeds are scattered in watermelon, or in pudding, or kheer, or payasam or sevia. We add dry fruits. So dry fruits, they are just scattered here and there. So it is also referred as watermelon model, or this is plum pudding model. Now this model was unable to get the success with the advancement in further concepts. I am going to explain next model. It is Thomson's atomic model. And Thomson's atomic model, it is nuclear model. It is nuclear model because this model proposed the presence of central part or core part called as nucleus. Now this model was given by E. Rutherford. E. Rutherford, E for Ernest Rutherford. Now this model was based on experiment. This model was based on experiment performed by Rutherford. Earlier model, that is Thomson's model, or plum pudding model, it was not based on any experiment, as Thomson just arbitrarily, explained the possibility that atom might be like this. And this model is based on a scattering experiment. A scattering experiment performed by Rutherford. So, Rutherford had performed experiment. An experiment is called as a scattering experiment. And he had taken very thin gold foil. Very thin gold foil. Gold foil. This is gold foil. Gold foil having thickness of around 1000 atoms. Thickness of around 1000 atoms. So question is, why gold foil was taken? Because gold is very malleable. It can be beaten into very thin sheet. So it is thickness of having 1000 atoms. So this is very thin gold foil. Now through the gold foil there was passing of alpha rays. Alpha rays was passed, and alpha rays were passed through a lead plate with a small hole was taken to concentrate alpha rays into a very fine beam. So this is alpha ray beam of alpha rays. Now how alpha rays were produced? So alpha rays were produced by a lead piece containing polonium. This is lead piece, and this inside there is polonium. This polonium is radioactive metal. It undergoes breaking. It disintegrates. It breaks. It splits to emit alpha rays, beta rays, and gamma rays. It is a property of polonium. Now when the gold foil is very thick, so what happens? Alpha ray, they will pass. Alpha rays, they will pass in different pattern like this. They will pass into different pattern like this, and these are called scattered alpha rays. They will have the different trends like this. Just here we have to put the arrow mark. Now see the scattering of alpha rays. So now we draw. Rutherford had taken a screen. A screen was taken, and this screen was made up of hard paper, and this screen was made up of hard paper, and it was coated internally by zinc sulfide. Zinc sulfide is a chemical, and zinc sulfide has a property that whenever any light or any particle which is even invisible falls over it, then it starts emitting light from that very point. Like in case of tube lights, tube lights, they have internally powder like material which is zinc sulfide. Now see, these are scattered alpha rays. These are scattered alpha rays. When the alpha rays, they are allowed to focus on the gold foil, so there is scattering. Now this is also some particles, they were deflected to more angles. Most of the alpha particles, what is clear, most of the alpha particles, they were passed in a straight line. Some were deflected to some angles, and a very few, 1 in 20,000, was returned back on the original path. So this is the scattering experiment. Question arises, why this type of observation was obtained by Rutherford? Number one, most of the alpha rays are passed in a straight line. Most of alpha rays. Few alpha rays, around 10%, they were deflected to some angles, and rarely 1 in 20,000 was returned back on the original path. Now, it was explained further by Rutherford that atom, he said that atom is a hollow ball-like structure and it has nucleus. Atom is a hollow ball-like structure. Large space in the atom is empty or hollow. This is empty space. And in the center there is very small nucleus. There is very small nucleus. And he said that whenever alpha rays, they are passing, away from the nucleus, they will be able to go through in a straight line, and as a result, this type of observation is obtained. Now the alpha ray which are passing nearby the nucleus, it will be deflected. So this and this, they will be deflected to larger angles, and anything going straight to the nucleus, it will be bounced back. And alpha rays are nothing but they are the helium nucleus carrying 2 unit positive charge. It means alpha rays are positively charged. So it was confirmed that this nucleus is positively charged, and later on, initially it was only known that only protons are present, but later on it was confirmed that some other particles are also present which is neutral in nature, and then it was named as neutron. So this is the idea about the Rutherford, and he explained this as nuclear model of atom, and he said that large space in the atom is empty, and when anything goes close to the positive charge nucleus, it will be deflected into some other direction. And so his rule or his law was validated. So he said that atom is a hollow ball-like structure. Hollow ball-like structure. Second point, nucleus is very small in comparison to the size of atom. So nucleus is very small in comparison to size of atom. Like a small house fly is sitting in a football ground. You can imagine the analogy. Now, third point, electrons revolve around the nucleus in circular path or paths called orbit or cell. So this is the model proposed by Rutherford, and he then finalized like this. As you know that in the atom there is circular path, this is orbit or this is cell, and in the center there is the nucleus. So this is the Rutherford's atomic model.